What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video, and today is a great day. We made it, everybody. We made it through the long night that is the NFL offseason. The last time we saw a football game was in February from the NFL. We made it through a long period of no football, and we are back. Tonight, the Kansas City Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, the reigning Super Bowl champions, host Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. It's a game that I can't wait to see. I'm going to be watching every single second of it, and I know that if you're a football fan, you will be as well. We made it, folks. Let's get to football finally. With that being said, we got some more stuff to do here before the Patriots play their first game of the season against the Miami Dolphins this Sunday at 1 o'clock on CBS. And we are going to continue breaking down the Patriots schedule game by game, giving you a win-loss prediction on every single game and how I get to an 11-5 record for the New England Patriots. So, last time we left off, the Patriots were 5-3 after 8 games. That was yesterday's video. If you haven't seen it, you need to catch up. Yesterday was part 2, and Tuesday, was part 1. So we continue going here. Now we are in the third quarter of the season, and this quarter I think will go particularly well for the New England Patriots. So again, 5-3 after 8 games. Let's get into Week 10, where they play, in my opinion, the most talented team in the AFC. Week 10, the Patriots are back on Sunday Night Football, and they're playing a team that they really got bullied by last season, again, also on Sunday Night Football, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, there's no pretty way to say this, but I think the Patriots are going to lose this game, plain and simple. I think, again, Baltimore is the most talented team in the AFC. Now, I don't want to say the best team. I'm not going to go out and say that, but they are the most talented team in the AFC, and I think it's going to be on display once again for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think they're going to play bully ball again over the New England Patriots in this game. Now, they added Calais Campbell to an already disgusting defensive line. He should only make them better. They did lose a few guys, though. They lost Hayden Hurst, they lost Michael Pierce, Tony Jefferson, Earl Thomas, Marshall Yanda, a couple other guys, but they did lose some pretty big production pieces from this team. However, they can afford to lose those pieces because they have and had tremendous depth last year that is going to take the next step and start and get into starting roles for the Ravens this year. Now, I'll say it again. I think the reason why they win this game is that Baltimore is the most talented team in the AFC. They probably have the only team in the AFC that has a secondary that's as good as New England's. Some would say probably even better than New England's. So again, they just match up way better than New England. The theme of these videos too, if you haven't noticed, is I think the worst part of this Patriots defense is once again going to be the run defense. I think there's going to be some real issues stopping them. Josh Uche wasn't fantastic against the run in college, and he's going to be asked to play a big role for this Patriots team, and I just think they're going to be very susceptible to the run. So with that being said, the Ravens, they are just, the style they play is just to beat you up, and it's a downhill football team, and I think they're going to take advantage of New England and just pound the rock all game like they did the last time they played, again, last year on Sunday Night Football. So between what the Ravens do particularly well and what the Patriots I don't think will do particularly well, and just honestly the talent gap at most levels between these two teams, I just think the Ravens are a flat-out better team. They're just as well coached. I mean, John Harbaugh is one of the elite coaches in the NFL. And the thing about the Baltimore Ravens is they play up to New England. Even when they had less talented teams, they gave New England absolute fits. Joe Flacco is somebody that it mind boggles me how good he is just against New England. Again, the worst Baltimore teams always play up to New England. So I just don't like the matchup, and I don't want any piece of the Ravens at any time as a Patriot fan. Week 11, they travel to Houston to take on Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. Now, I think New England, first and foremost, they win this game. I think, Houston always plays them tight, and Deshaun always really has his way with the New England Patriots, but I think losing DeAndre Hopkins is a big loss for this team. Now, they did add Randall Cobb, Vernon Hargreaves. David Johnson is the offensive piece they got in return for DeAndre Hopkins. So I still think they'll have a pretty formidable offense. Deshaun Watson is one of the elite kind of quarterbacks in this league. There are very few quarterbacks that are better than him. But I'm not sure that this whole team is as good as they were last year. I'm not as high on them. I think that division's going to be tougher, so I think they'll be a little bit more battle-tested. Again, we talk about Deshaun Watson, how good he is. The weapons around him have now taken a step back. I don't think that they have any sort of plus matchups as a wide receiver group against the Patriots secondary. J.J. Watt, I think, is past his prime. Whitney Merciless is past his prime. I'm not as fearsome of this Texans defense as I would have been in recent memory. So I just don't think this team is as good. And beyond that, Bill O'Brien just doesn't really know what he's doing. I think he's one of the worst coaches in this league. I'm shocked that Houston has turned the keys over to this franchise at every level to him. It makes no sense. And I just don't think they're a very good team. Even when last year when the Patriots played them, it was probably the worst game the Patriots have played in terms of the things that they did. I mean, when they played the Ravens and got blown out, they were just outclassed at every level. The Patriots in this Texans game, this was the first game where at least for me, I felt like maybe they're just, not as good, or their head isn't in it. And that was the first sort of creeping doubt that I was just like, I don't think this is a Super Bowl team. And even then, they were in that game until the end. They had an onside kick to try and go down and tie the game or take the lead late in the game. So I don't think this Texans team is very good. I think New England will at this point have found their footing, and I think they'll be able to move the ball on a very shaky Texans defense, and I think the Patriots win this game. Week 12, the New England Patriots come back home, and they have a date with Cliff Kingsbury, the Arizona Cardinals, and Kyler Murray, and DeAndre Hopkins, who we just talked about. This game is a real wild card game to me. Bill Belichick normally dominates young quarterbacks, especially their first time seeing them. So I'm going to go with history here and say Bill Belichick really makes it hard for Kyler Murray to move the ball downfield. Now, having DeAndre Hopkins certainly helps that issue a lot. He's a plus matchup on pretty much anybody in the NFL, so I think that this offense will still be formidable. Now, they haven't really lost anybody big. David Johnson is probably the biggest name they may have lost, but again, they add DeAndre Hopkins. They added Devondre Campbell from the Atlanta Falcons, who's also a pretty good player. So the defense has gotten a little bit better. The offense has gotten significantly better, but I still don't think this defense is ready to make the big leap that it's going to take to be a competitive team. I still think they're a year and a good draft away from getting to that next level. Now, they have a couple good players on defense, don't get me wrong. Chandler Jones, the Patriot fans, if you're a Patriot fan, you know Chandler Jones and how good he is. Budda Baker is very good. Pat Pete is still a pretty good corner, even though he's getting up there in age. And, of course, Devondre Campbell comes in, and he's a nice name for that linebacking group to pair with Chandler Jones, although Jones is primarily a pass rusher. I think this is a game that has the potential to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to take the coach and history with the Patriots in this one. I just think that in Kyler Murray's first game versus the New England Patriots, like most young quarterbacks, it'll just be very overwhelming. At this point, there may be fans in the stands to some capacity, which shouldn't hurt New England, and I'm going to take the coach again that's on the right side of history in this matchup. And our last game for part 3. Now, this is where the schedule really picks up for New England. It's just a quick 2-week bump in the schedule uptake, but this is the part of the schedule I hate the most. And it is back-to-back weeks in LA. Sunday night football, it's Sunday football, against the Chargers, and then Thursday night football against the Rams. I hate that they have to virtually spend 2 weeks out there, and it just it's a little frustrating, honestly. But with that being said, week 13, they jet across the country for the second time this year, and they play the LA Chargers in their building. First and foremost, the Patriots have really dominated this rivalry as of late. Doesn't really matter who the head coach has been, although it's changed a few times over the course of Belichick's tenure. I am not really threatened by a team like the Chargers because of the base defense they play. Now, I don't think Brady being there is going to change much. I think Cam should still be able to, if he's 2018 Cam, pick this defense a little bit and really put some points on the board. Beyond that, I think at this point we'll have to see Justin Herbert because I think the Chargers are going to want to see what they have, loaded on the bench. I don't think Tyrod is the guy there long term, obviously, so they're going to need to see Justin Herbert. If that's the case, rookie quarterbacks versus Bill Belichick, again, is just a bad matchup. It doesn't go very well. And even beyond that, if Tyrod Taylor is the guy, he's 1-6 versus New England in his career with a completion percentage below 60%. So again, I'm not very worried about the Chargers. They like to sit in a zone defense too, which I think New England will attack. I don't think they're necessarily one of the elite defenses anymore. While I still think they're good, Derwin James being out for a long period of time is also not going to help anything either. I just think the Patriots are way better coached and way better prepared for this game and just have the better personnel to win this matchup. Spoiler alert, though, I do think being in LA for 2 weeks and their third game of the season isn't going to bode well for New England. I do have their last loss coming next week to the LA Rams on a short week across the country on Thursday Night Football. Again, I hate how the schedule was laid out. I know a lot of people will say, like, you're complaining, like, wah, you've always had breaks, you always have home field advantage, blah, blah, blah. But it's very frustrating to have to jet across the country 3 times in one season and virtually spend 2 NFL game weeks on the West Coast back-to-back. It's just a very frustrating part of the schedule, and I think the Rams will get the best of New England in that second game in back-to-back games on the West Coast. However, after 12 games, the Patriots are 8-4. They find themselves, to me, in a pretty good spot to maybe not be a 1 seed and get that bye. We know the playoffs have changed, so only one team gets the bye. So they're probably not going to be good enough to get that bye, but I think they'll be sitting in a driver's seat for their own playoff spot, and they'll control their destiny down the stretch. By this point of the season, at this point we're in December, we'll know exactly what the strengths and weaknesses of this New England team is, and we'll know exactly what a playoff New England team will sort of look like. My prediction, again, throughout this has been that they're going to pound the rock. The running game is going to be the focal point of this offense, and Cam Newton's ability to run the ball and move the offense with his legs. And, of course, his passing game will complement that running game. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the pass defense will be fine largely. I mean, I think they'll probably be on the very good end on the back end. I think the linebackers are a little dicey, which I think contributes to a very shaky run defense, and I think that's going to be the huge red flag for me coming into the season, and of course how the Patriots generate a pass rush. But I think that they'll be able to find creative ways to rush the passer, or at least pressure the passer. Again, these are all things you've heard me say before. This is more on the schedule. So again, after 12 games, the Patriots are 8-4, looking pretty good in the final home stretch of their season. Tomorrow, we wrap up this 4-part series breaking down the Patriots' schedule. We put a final bow on their record and how they win the division. And then we get into the weekend. And it is officially, if it hasn't been already, it is all systems go prep for Miami Dolphins stuff. The Patriots getting prepped, and you will see me do a little pregame on Sunday morning, talking about the Patriots and the Dolphins, what to watch for, stuff like that. So we're full prep after tomorrow's video into the Miami Dolphins, and I'll talk to you Sunday about the Miami Dolphins pre and hopefully post-game. Still figuring out how to do a post-game Sunday. I don't know the way that I want to do it yet. I want to give you a quality watch and a quality piece of content after the Dolphins game. So I'm still figuring that part out, but you will see me Sunday before the Dolphins game to get the lowdown on everything you need to know about the Miami Dolphins headed into Week 1. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I would love to get to 100 followers by Sunday, 100 subscribers by Sunday by the Dolphins game. It would be awesome, 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 and that's kind of been my goal this week. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Beyond that, if you want to chop it up with me about anything football, anything Patriots related, of course, leave it down in the comments below. What do you think of my schedule prediction so far? What do you think of these 4 games? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. If you want to get at me on social media, I'm on Twitter at @TheTylerBrandt, on Instagram at TalkingPats. Again, we could chop it up about anything Patriot related. Get at me. Again, signing off one last time, Tyler Brandt. I'll see you tomorrow and then Sunday for the Miami Dolphins pregame. Be good, and I'll catch you on the next video.